it's going to be supported by whoever you got the thing from. You're going to have to go to them if you get lost.
Do you think Windows and Apple are really going to cut off the ability to install from other sources?
I don't think they're going to do it overnight, but I can see it coming. I can see over time the Mac OS turning into a very iOS-like device where basically it won't work unless it goes through the Apple Marketplace. And then at that point, it may not be Steve Jobs, it may be the Apple Corporation, but that's very much where I see this going. It's you either pay them the guild to approve it, or it's not. Because unless there's clear and defined criteria on which you can challenge and sue Apple at Apple's cost. And the same thing for Microsoft if they don't approve it. You know, if they start using this for anti-competition or just going, yeah, we don't really like that your app competes with this other app over here, whether it's ours or not, and therefore we're just not going to approve it because we think that makes it too complex that people have an apple and an orange to choose from, and we know the only fruit is bananas. It's like I see that kind of stuff happening, especially when you take in mind that this was implemented with a whole mess of things. It was good.
How are they going to stop third-party apps unless they prohibit in their operating system compilers? You know, how are they ever going to do that? Because then people couldn't develop on a Mac. Are you going to have to buy a developer's version of the operating system to install to unlock?
That's how it was back in the 80s, and that's where I think Apple would very much like to take it back to. Once upon a time, you had to buy a development version of the Apple OS to develop for it, and I do think that's where they're trying to take it back to. Now, like you say, as long as you can't fully lock this out unless you lock the terminal out. Because people, worst case scenario, people can do terminal hacks and get it in there and hack in. But, I mean, it's a number of people pointed this out over the last week, and I happen to agree that their fears are justified. And that, you know, Apple is very much as a company a 90% of the people 90% of the time. And that's where they always fall short. They're like, we're just going to cut this out because if you can screw something up with it, even though 90% of people are never going to go in there, and we're just going to cut it off for the people who might go in there. And honestly, I don't think this is beyond the scope of Apple considering a good thing for end usability, is just deciding one day, you know what, terminals shouldn't be accessible anymore. Because, you know, you're getting in there and doing things we didn't envision you doing with the system, so we're just going to lock them out. Now, that'll break certain things, but, you know, those that are important we'll put back in over time through our mission control and everything else. I hope to God I'm wrong.
So they might be able to stop actual programming languages, but they can't stop scripting languages. There's still going to be, you know, there's still going to be script. I mean, if worst comes to worst, I guess possibly the only real programs that we're going to have, the only free place that we're going to have to develop is if you develop online with JavaScript and HTML5 and such, and that's going to be the free application place, but I hope not.
I hope not, because there are why I'm all for cloud-based computing and other stuff like that. There are some things that just doesn't make any sense, especially certain tasks. So that would be a very scary world if we made it like that only. It'd be great if that improved and that became seamless, but it's I mean, like 5 minutes ago here we lost you. Like, how would you like to be working on some critical thing and all of a sudden your internet goes do-do-do-do-do? Because it's the only way you can do it now. It's like, that would be a little creepy.
But that's the only way that's the internet right now. It's like the only place that I see that, you know, nobody can truly just grab it all and just take it. You know, nobody can do that yet. You know, there's too many companies that are in that have conflicting interests.
Well, so, okay. Well, we say that. However, and I want to point out a however there, since we're going a little out of order here, and this is related to something else we were going to talk about today. Microsoft has joined the big rank of companies that are basically taking the philosophy of we're just going to quarantine your ass from the internet. It's not like this is anything new. Google has
what?
Google has been doing this for years. Basically, one of the things Microsoft is debating about doing is if your computer is infected, you just won't be able to get online until you fix the problem. I mean,
Google been doing this.
Google's been doing this with web pages. If your web page is found to have any kind of thing that Google deems to be malicious script, anybody who finds you in the search results cannot get to you. And many browsers, Firefox among them, have instituted just mass quarantines. Basically, if at any point your site is deemed to, and usually 95 to 99% of the time plus, what this is, it isn't that the site's distributing malware, it's that they got hacked and somebody added an iframe or some little bit of, or some little 3-line script to their thing that inserts go phone dirty site X and yada yada and so forth. But the end result is you're quarantined from the internet. Nobody can reach your site. Internet Explorer is going to be another browser that does this because they're one of the few that didn't. It says this is the general philosophy people are adopting. So it's like this is another thing to become concerned about with cloud stuff, because you don't really know unequivocally that that is a dirty site, or that is distributed in anything that could infect you, or anything shot. But the determination is we've seen something suspicious or something we don't like, and you don't really ever get an explanation of what it is. It's not a big stretch, you know, in the end of tinfoil hat theory, to determine at some point companies like Apple or Microsoft, maybe even Google, might start using the authority of quarantining in a monopolistic way, which, why illegal as hell, good luck proving it. Good luck proving that they're abusing that authority.
Well, it's how...
That is very tinfoil hat.
I have two things to say to that. First of all, of what, I mean, I use Chrome, and so when I go to sites, still say it hosts malware, and pretty much every single time that Google says it, there is something malicious on the sites that's legitimately malicious. And when, you know, they stop you from going on it, they give you the option to go through it. They're just like, we warned you, but you can go through anyway. They give you a button to push to go through it.
Yeah, but okay, yes, there's a way for end user override, but let's be honest for a second. Does anybody think anybody that gets this warning, DEFCON, you're gonna die message honestly goes, yeah, I'd like to just ignore that and go screw myself?
You just need one to make loud enough noise in order for them to be caught censoring that kind of a way, though.
Yeah. Well, and what's going to be interesting is if it gets it wrong at some point. It hasn't yet. And like I said, this is very tinfoil hat. I'm not so much afraid of Google doing this. I'd be a little afraid of Microsoft or Apple doing it, just because one of the like with this App Store and Mission Control and everything, is that these are the pre-approved apps. And that they're Apple certified. You can still install non-Apple certified apps. But what I'd be a little concerned about is if at some point, it's not in Lion, but if in some future OS X and in some future Windows, the default setting becomes only trust pre-approved apps. And it's like some obscure setting in the control that you have to go turn off. So by default, the operating system just assumes anything that's not pre-approved is bad. It gives you this DEFCON, this isn't pre-approved, run for the hills message. And the average end user isn't going to know the difference. I mean, to a point, Windows already does this. You know, every time, but in Windows, it's become so much loud noise that we just ignore it. Every single time you install an application in Windows, it goes, warning, this was not vetted by the Microsoft Corporation, run for the hills. But because it comes with every single application, including ones that we know are safe. Nobody listens to it. If Apple starts doing this because they've never done anything like this before, I see Apple users listening to this and going, oh my god, this is dangerous, I need to stay away from it, and not really thinking about it.
Fair enough.
It's like, because when Microsoft says run for the hills, we go, yeah, sure, whatever, shut up, Microsoft. It's a little different when anyone else does it.
I would like to say something about the blocking the websites.
Okay.
That I like that it does that. You know, I like that it tells me that.
That's just great timing, and I swear I didn't do that on purpose.
You back, James?
He will be in a moment.
Is there any way we could pause the recording?
I guess. Why, you gotta go run somewhere?
My family wants me to eat dinner right now, so.
Go eat dinner, and come back, and
Give us plenty of time to solve James.
he's like trying to call back in right now. I just don't have the damn system booted up for him.
Well, I'll be back when I'm more nourished.
Okay.
See ya.
Do I have you, James? Well.
Okay.
Video back, please.
Alright. Any idea what happened?
Yeah, I know what happened. It's 100 degrees in fucking October.
Alright, because I didn't think that was mine.
No, that wasn't your fault. That was oh dear shit problems here. And James temporarily went off to go eat. So yeah.